You are very inappropriate.
I like being inappropriate.
BROADScast is entertaining.
Come on, if I can't mess with you, this is not going to be fun.
BROADScast is thought-provoking.
That is a riveting revelation, Ms. Goldman.
BROADScast is unexpected.
Who do you like better, the person that people think you are or the actual you?
Oh, God.
Because they're nothing alike.
Broad topics, broad minds, broad hosts, but not just for broads.
We are man-friendly.
I hope to be.
I am man-friendly. I can't say the same about Kim. Wait, that sounded bad.
This is BROADScast with Kim Goldman and Jackie McDougall.
Well, welcome to BROADScast, people, party peeps.
What's up, party people?
I should not be saying things like that. Hey, Kim, how are you?
I'm all right, Jackie. How are you?
I'm wicked excited about today's episode. It's all about money, money, money.
Oh, no. Every time you sing it, if you hear that song, I can only think of The Apprentice.
Oh,
and
yes.
In my head. Yeah. Don't
maybe
do
I'll
it.
think of another one.
Yeah.
All right. Let me think of another one.
She works hard for the money.
There you go.
But that, yeah.
You know who's not listening to our show? Actual
Me?
singers.
What? Oh.
Because they're like, I can't even for a second, those people. So I couldn't carry a tune if you put it in my purse. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right. So without further ado, no. We need to talk about this. Money, why you can be making more money, how you are meant to have the life that you have always wanted. Like I could hear Kim going, oh no, I have to learn and stretch and grow. And I cannot wait. I mean, she is seriously like, her book launches today. You Are a Badass. At making money, and she is also the best New York Times bestseller of You Are a Badass, the original. And she's awesome. Like, you know this. I have been talking forever about like how the impact that Jen Sincero has made on my life.
I know. And you know what's funny? You know how like when you hear a word that you've never heard before, you hear it all the time?
Yes.
Like, okay. So once you told me about Jen and her book and how infatuated you are, I see it everywhere.
Oh,
and
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
everywhere.
So I feel like I'm in the know.
Totally. And so I'm very excited. But before we get to that, we should let everybody know that today's episode is sponsored by audible.com, because if you want to get a free month of Audible plus Jen's original book or new book downloaded for free, how much, Kim?
Free.
Not your mattress, the book, free. Then you can go to audibletrial.com/broadscast and get the free month and the free book. And I'm telling you, if you don't believe that this book will change your life, then I can't help you. You're stupid. But you should totally listen to it, because I'm telling you.
So for the record, ever since Jackie read that book, this is the height of her voice every time she speaks at this like high paced. I've had 3 cups of coffee. This is what happens. So be prepared.
I know. Jen Sincero is like human caffeine for the soul.
Hashtag caffeine for the soul.
Yeah. So, and here's a warning to you who are driving in the car with your little ones. Like she's very colorful in her language in her book. So I assume there will be some colorful words that may come across your ears. So, you may want to not necessarily listen to it with the little ones unless you want them to be colorful too. So,
Right.
But in honor of this fantastic episode all about money, we also, and by we, I mean I, put together a little post on our website, BROADScast.com, where you can find so many different ways to save money doing things that you already do. So that was my homework. Once I knew that Jen would be booked on this show, that was my homework to do. And I'm very excited that that post has launched this morning. So
congratulations to us. Hey, can I just go back to something a long time ago? So a long time ago, we started talking about Ebates on our show. I know that this was, So I will full confession. I did not know if I signed up for Ebates. Like I thought I did. I was in the account and then I wasn't exactly sure if I did it right. And then lo and behold, I got a check. So
How crazy
But
is
I'm
that?
serious. Like, I didn't know that I was doing it correctly. And so my point to this is even the dipwad in this relationship, myself, can manage to save money. And I'm very proud of myself. So I just wanted to pull that one back around, because you did ask me a long time ago if I ever signed up, and I remember making a face at you like, I don't have any idea if I did it right.
Totally.
Well, I did. Yeah, I did.
I get like little.
So it actually works.
Yeah, I get like $15 checks. But if you add them up, it's a few $100 a year. So
I know, but those are one of those things that, if you don't, that you think like, oh, it's not worth the time, but it actually, it was. So anyway.
Or you think it's a scam. So if you don't know about Ebates, it is in the post on BROADScast.com. So go over there and check it out. But we're going to take a quick, and by quick, I just mean a little station identification. And we'll be back with Jen Sincero.
Subscribe to BROADScast on iTunes.
Okay, so unless you've been living under a rock, you've seen the New York Times bestseller, You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life by Jen Sincero. And now she's got the follow-up to that. What? You Are a Badass at Making Money. Welcome to the show, Jen.
Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
So I have to admit, so I'm, on Audible, because we have a little Audible deal over here at BROADScast. So I was on Audible looking for some books to kind of get me a little bit motivated. And yours was just like, it was screaming at me. Right. So, I mean, it was like we're at the top of the list, had all these amazing ratings. It spoke my language just by saying badass. So I was like, I'm going to listen to this. And within, the next several hours over just a few days, if you could open a church and I'd be like, what, 10%? Like, I'll give it to you right now. And so I have told everybody about this book. I listened to the first one. I read the second one. The only issue I had with listening to the first one is I couldn't highlight when it's an audiobook. So needless to say, welcome to the show. We're very, 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 very happy to have you here.
She's fangirling.
I love my fangirls.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that for a second, because that you went from like living in a garage, barely making ends meet, and now you must get so much attention from people who've bought your book or listened to your book. Like, how what is that like?
It's awesome and totally weird.
What's the weird part? We like to go weird first.
Well, it's, and I really want to preface it with it's awesome. Like, I am so grateful and flattered and psyched that people feel this connection to me and to my work. And the thing that's a little weird is because I write like I'm your BFF, I've got all these people who feel like we're BFFs, but I don't know them. Right. You know what I mean? So it's just that's the weird part. But thank God. That's sort of, I'm asking for it because that's how I write.
Well, and you're making connections. And I think that, when people are reading, they want to feel like they're sitting around with their best friend or someone they trust in order for the message to be heard.
Exactly. Right. So the good news is it's working. I mean, that was definitely my intention. So,
yeah,
but then,
be careful what you wish for.
Exactly.
So I want to go back and I want to understand, like, what was the motivation behind your first book? Like, what was the reason? Why, Jen?
Well, why? There were two whys, really. One was I personally had read every single self-help book under the sun. And I mean, there's so many brilliant ones out there and they helped me so much. But I was like, it's all a little earnest. It's all a little woo-woo. Like, wouldn't it be fun if there was a curse word in a story about maybe drinking too much or taking drugs? Something that would just like make it more entertaining for me. So I wanted to do it in a voice that hadn't been done yet. And I also wanted to appeal to people who were not on the self-help party train yet, who wanted to change their lives but didn't feel connected to any of the books out there. So I wanted to appeal to a whole new audience who might pick it up if it was funny and irreverent and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, anyone who's listened to our show before, like I I say, like, I'm a learner. Like, when I hit 40, which was a few years ago, I'm just so interested in learning new things and finding new business ideas. And I'm just like a sponge. And so we come into and we do the show, and then Kim rolls her eyes a lot at me because she's more like, oh, what's the fruit? Like, she jokes like, did you secret it? You know, as far as like the law of attraction. So we have that, you know, push pull here. And so that's why I brought up your book, because you speak that language where you're like, I know this sounds stupid, but it works.
Yeah. And it's amazing. I mean, I resisted it forever until my 40s. You know, I was living in that garage in my 40s because I was too cool for school. I didn't want to get busted reading a self-help book. And I thought it was all cheesy and spiritual and, you know, The Secret. And and meanwhile, it's the most powerful information out there. So
what was going on for you at that point? I mean, that you were like, I need to reach a different level, or I need to seek out some support or some help. Like what was happening in your life?
Well, I honestly just got so sick of it. As I said, I was in my 40s, and I just woke up one day and I was like, when am I going to get my act together? Like, I'm in my 40s. I'm living in a garage. I have no money. I have no idea how to make money. I've been trying to do it on my own forever. I was really adamant about, like, I can figure this out. And I was like, maybe that's not working so well. So that's when I started reading all the self-help books and going to all these seminars. And that's when I got introduced to life coaching. And that's when I met my life coach, and she sort of turned my life around and helped me make money. And that's where I got my start. But it really wasn't some big moment, like lightning bolt moment. I was done listening to myself say, I can't afford it.
Right. Did you know that you had a writer in you?
Well, the sad part is I'd already published a couple of books. I just didn't make any money doing it. So I knew I could write. I just, publishing is not the most lucrative field until you hit it really big.
Right.
So.
Yes, I have a few books under my belt, and I can speak. Yeah. I can attest to that.
Yeah.
People think, I mean, they do. People think that, like, if you published a book that you must be a millionaire. And I'm like, no. I have a book, though. I use them as door stoppers.
So, you talk about the whole life coach thing. Like, you even mentioned that these days, and people are like, oh my God, like, what is a life coach? So what made you go from, too cool for school to actually not only deciding, like, I'm going to get a life coach, but paying for a life coach?
Right. Well, because I had made that decision, right? Like, I decided I wasn't screwing around anymore. I was going to make money. And when I met the woman who ended up being my life coach, she just sold me. I thought she was brilliant. I really liked her. And she had been in the trenches herself. She had had her electricity turned off and was now making high six figures, teaching women how to make money. That was her specialty. And I was like, all right, I'm signing up. And her fee was literally 1/4 of my annual income at the time. But because I'd made that decision, I was like, screw it. I'm going to put it on a brand new credit card because all my other ones are maxed out. And I went deeper into debt. I was petrified. And of course, I called her up like moments later and was like, please give it back. Give it back. I totally screwed up. But she refused, thank God. And I rose to the occasion, and I did everything she told me. And I ended up tripling my income in the first 3 months of working with her. So it was well worth the investment.
Wow. So what do you think was the first step that you had to do with her? Like, it doesn't go from 0 to 60. Like,
right.
What did you have to do?
I had to charge a lot of money for my services, which scared the crap out of me. We put together an online business for me that was coaching other writers on selling their book proposals. Because, as we said, I was a published writer. I was, quote unquote successful. I just was broke. So I knew how to do it. I just didn't know how to make money doing it yet. Anyway, so we put that business together, and then I had to go to every cheesy ass women's entrepreneurial marketing meeting that I could find. I went to every cheesy ass seminar, and still, I was still too cool for school at this point, but I was sick of being broke. So one of the most hilarious and profound things she said to me as I'm whining, like, why do I have to go to these cheesy, seminars where people are high-fiving each other and,
singing.
and singing, and you can do it. And
the trust fall.
Yeah, I mean, and I had to put up my cheesy squeeze page for my online marketing thing. And, I used to be in rock bands and I was terrified that my rock band crew was going to see my cheesy online marketing squeeze page. And I was terrified that my new coaching clients would find out about my rock band, which was called Crotch. And I used to wear a hair bikini on stage. So I was like, never shall the two worlds meet. And I was like, can't we just make it a little less cheesy? Like, isn't there some way to do this? And she's like, listen, you have two options. You can be broke and cool or rich and cheesy. And I was like, all right, rich and cheesy it is. Like,
and that's actually one of the lines in, You're a Badass at Making Money that I have highlighted. Like literally page 139.
Thank you.
That I had just shown that to Kim this morning because I was like, we have this podcast, we have, the whole radio, all of it happening. Right. And we have a very hard time promoting ourselves. At least I can only speak for myself, but like
you can speak for me. I've shared that. Yeah.
It's really hard to be like, hey, you should listen. I mean, it's great because we have guests, so we promote the guest. And, and it's a no-brainer because we told people you were coming on and they were like, can we come to the studio that day and be your production assistant? But, it's hard to do some of those cheesy things. Like, how did you get over that?
Yeah, well, it was really interesting, and I'm really glad we're talking about this because I think it's so important. I had my goal, which was to make money. And so I was doing everything I was taught to do. And, online marketing is very studied. There's certain ways to do things that will make you money. So I did that because that was my goal. But as I stuck with it, my voice started to change and I started to basically learn to express things in the way that I ultimately did it in You Are a Badass and You Are a Badass at Making Money. So I sort of took the online marketing world and turned it into my own eventually just by showing up and keep doing it and keep making it my own. And that's what happened with like the self-help world is also sort of antiseptic. And I kept, and then I turned that into my own. So I really feel like that whole experience informed the You Are a Badass brand. And with your own marketing, it's like you just got to keep showing up and keep doing it and have fun with it. And so self-promotion feels weird, but the more fun you have with it, the more you are yourself, the easier it gets. And the more you're going to attract the people you want to attract anyway, because you're being genuine.
Well, I think that's part of, the promotion part is that if you're staying true to who you are and what your brand is, then it's not really cheesy. Then it's just you being you.
Right.
But when you try to manipulate that to speak to an audience that maybe doesn't fit what your goal is, I think that's where it gets the cheesy part that like, I don't know. For me, I mean, Jackie and I have talked about this and it came up last week because Jackie is between the two of us. She's the visionary one. She's much more creative. I am like the science girl. I am the fact. I'm the stats one. Like I like the numbers. I like,
she likes lists.
I do. I mean, that's in some ways how our show works and how it, sometimes we get stalled in that process too. So, Jackie's really trying to teach me how to step outside that comfort zone. But I'm also like, but if I'm doing too much outside my comfort zone, it doesn't feel authentic anymore. And so so how do you speak to that part when someone is trying, but like it still feels like a little contrived?
You just keep showing up because the thing is, you don't get to learn new things about yourself if you don't keep showing up. So I hear you. Like it feels weird at first, but you've never done it before also. So you don't know how your authentic self fits into this new space until you put yourself in that space. You know what I mean? So you just keep showing up and keep saying what you need to say, and it will eventually come around. And this is where that whole concept of done is better than perfect is so important. Because if I had waited until, I'm Jen Sincero, this punk rocker, I'm not going to have some stupid cheesy online marketing thing. It's got to be completely authentic and completely in my voice. I never would have gotten there. Just get started and don't be so hard ass about it being perfect and 100% authentic. Like you're finding your authenticity. Every time you grow, you become a new person. So you can't be authentic at first because you're not that person yet.
Do you feel that having your coach at the time helped you do that? Because I like, having someone hold you accountable. Do you think that was what helped you push?
Oh yeah. I mean, and also to, honestly, and now as myself being a coach as well, 90% of our job is giving people permission. It's wild. It's like, she just gave me permission to be cheesy. She gave me permission to then start writing the online marketing stuff in my own voice. And it's like, we're so scared to put ourselves out there and be wrong somehow, or to be judged, or, to disappoint the people who expect us to be a certain way. It's really interesting, but a huge stumbling block is permission. And that's actually why I have a whole chapter in You Are Badass at Making Money about allowance, because I've read a million self-help books on money and they're all brilliant, but I didn't feel like anybody was touching on the huge topic of giving yourself permission to make ass loads of money. Because in our culture, that is very judged.
Right. Just right before we started this call, Kim and I were talking about, things that we're doing to kind of move the needle. And she said, for her, and she does, this amazing work with teenagers. And she's also what do you call that?
I don't know. What am I?
An on-air correspondent.
Correspondent. Yeah.
And she does. She writes books. She does a bunch of stuff. And she's like, She said, I don't do this, to be rich and famous. And I looked at her and I was like, yeah, I don't care about fame, but like I'm totally doing this to be rich. And I said, and then, because I go to the church of Jen Sincero, I started explaining to her why I'm going to be rich, because I want that I will have that freedom to, this was my exact, example was, that freedom to see a homeless person and to go into a nice, not McDonald's, but a nice restaurant, order them some food and, maybe like sit with them and give them a meal, or, you see a friend struggling and sending them that gift that would like totally make their day and throw them over the top. Like, they'd be ecstatic, or, travel with my kids and my family and not worry about every single thing. Like, I love that I will be moving toward freedom. That's what it feels like to me. And that's what money is. And again, I told you, church, like I should like kneel and sit and all that. And so I know other people think that you are their best friend, but we're actually best friends. So that's totally different.
You guys are besties.
Oh my God.
No, but
I love that. And it's so true. And I'm so glad that you figured that out, that that's what excites you, is the freedom. And isn't it amazing? Like, think of all the things you just said, how awesome all of those things are, and yet we still make money the root of all evil. Like, money gets such a bad rap, and it does all those things that you just said. So not fair.
Totally. And it doesn't have to be about like, I'm totally fine with the cars we have. I love the home we live in. Sure, I'm going to build a pool with that money, in the backyard and make it like an oasis. But it's not like I don't necessarily, I'm not looking to completely drastically, move to Bel Air or live a life that's not authentic to me. I just want to be able to do it without any concerns whatsoever.
But where do you think that breakdown happens, Jen, that people can't have yours and Jackie's point of view when you have people that are like, you want money, what's wrong with you? Just greedy. I mean, where do you think that comes from?
Where does all of our fear come from? I don't know is my answer to that, because I talk a lot about in both books about our subconscious programming and how when we're little babies and we show up on earth, we don't care if we have a fat ass. We don't think, we don't judge ourselves. We're not scared of things, right? We just are, and we're taking it all in, and we learn fear from our parents and our society. And we learn to judge and hate money from our parents and our society. And I don't know why we're such a fear-based society. I am going to say it's because people feel the need to be in control and to control other people, and fear is easily the best way. You know what? I just answered my own question. It's because of control.
You heard it here first, people.
Yes. Yeah.
But do you think there's judgment that gets attached, or envy of others that have more than we have? I mean, I can tell you that when other people win the lottery, I'm angry. Like I really am. I'm cursing the picture, like, because I've spent my money. They stole my money. So I mean, it's terrible. But I do find myself sometimes feeling envious. And that's all my own stuff. I mean, I'm definitely aware of that. But do you think that it ever stems from that place? More than fear, or is it the fear of that you can't have it, or that you'll never get it, or?
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I think people absolutely are envious. So if you make it, I guess then if you're envious, then you can make money bad, so you don't feel bad about the fact that you don't have any.
Right.
But I mean, just, there's that exercise that I have, and I think I put it in both books because it's such a humdinger, where you write a letter to money. And, back in the day, I did it myself. I was like, dear money, I wish I had more of you, but I don't trust you. And I think people who love you are disgusting, greedy pigs, but yet I'm so happy when you show up. Yet I feel like a filthy whore for loving you. And so when you look at that, you realize just how screwed up we all are and how much of a push-pull we have going on. And it's fascinating to me.
Yeah, I think, it's funny because if you go back in both books where things stem from and this fear and stuff and growing up, a lot of we didn't grow up talking about money at all. I'm one of 13 children. I have 12 siblings, and my dad fixed elevators, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And so it was, wow. It was very, very private, and you'd ask, and it's like, oh, none of your business. And so we didn't, and now kids go to school and we don't learn how to work with money or any of that. We're just learning stuff that we'll never use again. But I think it's such a confusing lesson when you're little too, of I want this, you can't have this, we don't have enough. And also how, in particular talk to my kids, it's not necessarily we don't have it so that they feel like, oh my gosh, money is scarce. But at the same time, it's not a smart decision with the money we do have. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to reprogram them so they don't necessarily have to spend as much money in therapy as they already will when they're grown. So what do you think? Good. I don't know that you've talked much about this, but how would you talk to younger people about money?
In a very healthy, happy, open way. First of all, I would ask them what their questions are about it and what their fears are about it, and make it okay. By you making it okay, that is so huge. I talk in Badass at Making Money about how it's the same way we deal with sex, how it's, dirty, but we'll never tell you about it, but you're supposed to be really good at it.
And you'll be judged forever.
You'll be judged forever. You're dirty for wanting it, yet everybody wants it. It's ridiculous. So yeah, I think you just being open and leading by example. And another thing that I think is really important is the whole idea of saving and living within your means and not being reckless with money. And I think there's a real confusion around that, where I'm a huge believer in saving. I do believe we live in an abundant universe and that you get in the flow with money and it's a give and take and blah, blah, blah. But I'm all about saving. I'm going to be old and tired someday. I'm not going to want to be worrying about making money, but I don't scrimp. It's not a white knuckled saving because money is scarce and I have to dig a hole in the backyard, and that kind of thing. I know more is coming in and I'm saving. So it's taking a stand for the and. And so I think what happens a lot of times is when people budget themselves and take away all the things that they love to spend money on because they're trying to pay off a debt or they want to save, it puts money in this really fun, free zone where it's spent already. You've already spent it by the time it comes in. So taking a stand for the end, it's about not cutting back. It's about looking to how you can make more so that you can save it and have a latte every morning.
Yeah. I think I would talk a lot. I mean, I'm not a dieter. I'm not a person that puts a lot of restrictions. I'm all about moderation and boundaries. And I think that and I struggle sometimes within myself on how to do it, but I think generally speaking that even when it comes to money, I mean, when I was growing up, my dad would take me to the grocery store and he would have me pick, the pasta sauce that was the least expensive. And I learned how to read labels and I learned how to read the little thing that said, 72 cents per ounce, versus the bigger can, which was $1, whatever it was. And so I learned from a very early age what the value of $1 was. Mm-hmm. And, there were some things that my dad would provide for me. And then there were things that were over and above that I needed to save for. And that's how I am with my kid. And now he's an only child. So I probably spoil him. But my son also knows he has to earn money. He has to save for it. And when he spends his own money, he researches, he finds coupons, he finds free shipping, and he negotiates with me, on how to buy something. When it's my money, he's not as giving. Right. But he's at that point now where it's like when you want things that are like, I'll tell him, you need a new pair of shoes. I will spend $60 because that's what a normal pair of shoes are. And if you want something over and above that, you need to put the money in. And so he does things around the house. And because I don't want him to feel like he can't have things, but I want him to understand the value of what it means and the pride that comes with earning it, saving for it, and then rewarding yourself. So I don't know if that's just a lesson in like, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm tooting my own horn in that regard because I feel like my dad did such a good job when we were younger with kind of removing the stigma. Although everybody around me, like, you weren't allowed to talk about money, like, right. and I get that, like,
it's like the drunk uncle at the dinner table.
Well, my son, he'll ask me
to talk about it.
Yeah, but he'll say to me, "Mom, are we rich?" And that question is really confusing to me. Like, I guess that's what, started this conversation with Jackie. She's like, rich and famous. I'm like, well, I don't even know what that means. Like, rich.
Well, rich is such a personal thing too. It's like, how much do you need? And I really, I think that the definition of rich is having all the resources you need to blossom into the fullest expression of whoever you are. And so, the fullest expression of whomever you are could be someone who really likes staying in fancy hotels. So that matters. It's not just about feeding yourself and providing shelter for your family. We're not meant to just get by. We're meant to thrive. And you get to choose what is important to you to thrive. And I think this is so key. And just like we live in such a comparative society. Yeah. And so when you can shut up and just sit down and think about you as your most authentic self and what turns you on, regardless of what anybody around you is doing or thinking is important, that's when you get to figure out what rich is. Then you figure out how much that will cost, because like it or not, folks, everything in this society has a price tag on it. So just figure out what you desire and how much that will cost, and then go out and create that for yourself. And that will mean you're rich when you've done that, in my opinion.
I feel like social media has kind of hindered, whatever the word is, dampened, whatever.
Dindered.
Something. Like I find myself sometimes when I put things on Facebook about things that I'm doing, that there's like how can she afford that? She works for a nonprofit, or God, she must be making a lot of money with that book or that thing that she's doing. And I feel like I need to put it with an amendment, a disclaimer. We've been saving for 4 months to be able to do this. I mean, what's that about?
I don't know. You tell me.
Well, I find that I see people that do that like there's this weird thing that comes with it. Like they'll say, I splurged, or, they'll make little comments that
we're the same people that if you compliment someone on their dress and they're like, I got it at Ross for $4.
Oh, I'm totally that girl. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. I think there's that element of when you put things on social media, we always joke about it, that if it's on Facebook, it must be true, or, everyone's like royalty online, but there's this like the bragging part of it, like does that come into play, or like can we just see what people are doing and not attach anything to it, and it just be like, I mean, I don't know. Now I'm being very philosophical, but
well, that really depends on you. And I think I think one of the most evolved things we can do is ask ourselves why before we do something. So it's like, why am I going to post a picture of myself staying at the Four Seasons? Is it because I had a great time and I want to share it with my friends? Is it because I want to show off? Is it because I want to push buttons about people who hate money? Or, it's interesting why we do things. And sort of being conscious of that, and then going forth, if it seems like, yeah, it was fun, I want to share it with my friends, screw it, I'm doing it. Or why tell them that you got your dress at Ross for $4? Like, why are you going to do that? And so when you stop yourself in the moment, be like, it would actually benefit everybody if I just
shut up.
shut up. I mean, believe me,
Sorry, I'll say
my mantra is shut up and slow down. If I can master that, I can rule the world.
Yeah, those are both very, very tough. So, reading You're a Badass at Making Money, one comparison I would make was, you hear all these financial people, right, all over these talk shows or, trying to promote their books and this and that. And your message is very different. Like your message is you need to invest in yourself. That's the abridged version. So, if I want to be the next, figure skater, the champion figure skater, then I need to have a great figure skating coach and I need to find a plan there. And so these other financial people, they're more like, you need to save for the future and you need to say it just feels so totally different. Like how do you compare with what you're saying, which is spend more, even if it means maxing out your credit card, to them who are like, you should not have no credit card.
Right. Well, I make it pretty clear in my book that going into debt is a last resort thing. I am not a fan of debt. I hate debt. However, when you're leaping into the unknown to radically change your life. So I'll use myself as an example. If my broke ass had waited until I had the money to afford my coach, who was a quarter of my annual income, I never would have been able to afford her. At the income level I was at, it never would have happened. So, I could have sold my car. I could have borrowed the money from somebody. I could have gotten 16 jobs. There were other ways I could have done it. And they're all good, it's a very personal choice. I just felt like, especially since my big issue is money, I was like, that will freak the living crap out of me if I go even deeper into debt and put a fire under my ass the size of, Texas to not stray from my goal. It worked for me. But, I do believe in saving. I just believe that there is a flow here and we are so either or when it comes to making money, and take a stand for the damn and figure it out. There are so many ways to bring in extra income or to maximize your income potential that scrimping and saving is so bleh. You know what I mean? It's so no fun, and you need energy to go out there and kick ass. And if you don't let yourself ever have any fun, I don't see where that energy comes from, quite frankly. I mean, there's a big difference between spending $7,000 on a coach, going into debt, or going on a $7,000 shoe shopping binge. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about just recklessly spending money. I'm talking about spending it and demanding of yourself that you rise to the occasion.
Absolutely. And I'm sure there are people who then go out and spend the money and don't rise.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
The excuses are just rampant, And so what did it look like when you started with your coach? Was it a weekly thing? Was it did she wake you up in the morning with a whip?
And an
coach.
Yeah.
It was a different coach. Let me see. Gosh, it was so very long ago. We would have in-person meetings, and then we'd have, weekly phone conversation. I think it depends. I've worked with her for many years. So I had a year-long program where we do 2 or 3 in-person meetings over the course of the year and talk once a week on the phone, or, and then email support, or I think that was that one. Then I did one with her that was all about getting my online structures up. That was the first time I worked with her, was just getting my damn writeyourdamnbook.com business up and running.
And so, there are probably people out there who are like, okay, well, I want to get a coach, but, maybe they're not looking to do an online business, or, there's a variety of things that they would need help with. How would one go about finding the right coach?
When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Well, I put myself in that world. I found it by going to a lot of seminars, and just anything that felt interesting to me, I would make myself go, even though I didn't know why the hell I was going there. I really think putting yourself out there, word of mouth is great. Asking any friends of yours if they have a coach, or if they know somebody who's being coached, make it a goal. If you've decided you're going to get your poop in a scoop and you want to work with a private coach, we have put a man on the moon. You can get yourself out there and find somebody good.
How do you determine if the person is good for you? Like, what's that interview process like?
Like, what if your coach has the same issues you do? And she's great with making the sale, but
Yeah, that's interesting. Usually you want a coach who has the same issues as you do, who overcame them. But you kind of don't, quite frankly. Like, you have to go with your gut. You have to ask them what they specialize in. Maybe you can ask them some questions about, what would you do for me? This is where I feel stuck. Do you feel like you could help me with that? It's like anything else when you're hiring an employee or hiring somebody to help you do anything. You kind of don't know till you're in it, but you can definitely help yourself by getting referrals and asking them questions.
Yeah, I did a career coach a couple of years back, and I felt that same thing of like I handed over a ton of money and then got in my car and cried. I was like, what the hell did I just do? Because I'm a single mom, I have my young kid at home, I had mortgage to pay, and here I was writing a gigantic check, and I was like, what the? Oh, I can say fuck, can't I? I forgot. And it scared the shit out of me, honestly. And the reason I'm asking about did it work? I don't know if it worked. I mean, honestly, there were a lot of things that became clearer for me during those processes, but I kind of bought into the concept that these people were selling me. And there was that moment of like, I don't even know exactly what it is that I need to know if that person can fill my needs, because I was at a place of like, I need focus. And I was turning my attention and my control over to someone that I'd never met to know if they could give me focus. And that felt weird.
Yeah. It is really weird. But you have to, for me, it just wasn't happening on my own. I kept thinking I could do it myself. So when I met her, and I also want to say like her, we still laugh, we're really good friends now, but we could not be more different. Like everything she loves, I hate, and vice versa. Like she loves Las Vegas and she has the worst taste in movies, and she hates hiking in nature. Like we are completely opposite. In fact, I ask her which movies she likes, so I know not to go see them. But and everybody she refers to me, who she's worked with, who she loves, I hate. So it's actually a very useful relationship. But it was more about and I've worked with other coaches too, and it wasn't, and he was the same way. Like his branding was horrible. He was the biggest ball of cheese I'd ever met. But you know what? It was honestly, they were both great speakers. And I really felt like they were speaking to me. And for me, that's sort of what I based my decision on. Was they were speaking a language that really spoke to me. They were speaking about things, and the way they spoke about them, I would get aha moment after aha moment. Like, so I think, there are a million self-help books out there. There are a million coaches out there, and certain ones will speak to you, and you'll hear the same damn information that you've heard a million times a new way, and you suddenly get it. And that was sort of how I chose my coaches.
So would you find yourself stuck, as we all do, no matter how evolved we are? Do you go back to your own book?
God, I was thinking I totally should the other day. I was whining about something and I was like, bitch, you better read your own book.
But, you just talked about your coaches and how those aha moments and somebody speaking to you. And I think, that's a huge reason why your first book and your second book will be so successful, because, my sister-in-law and I could not be more different. I'm sure she'll be listening to this like 500 times, but, she apologizes for things, and she's a peacekeeper. And, I finally, it took me weeks to get her to finally, well, how do I download Audible? It was a whole thing. And finally I was like, listen, this is how you do it. Do it or don't do it. I'm not going to ask you anymore. Mm-hmm. And so she listened, and then the next thing you know, she's like, okay, can Scott, her husband, listen on the same account, because he needs to hear this too. Like, and I know that anybody who listens to it, it's like, maybe you're not for everyone, but you speak in a way that I'm like, she knows me. How does she know me? And I think that that's what's really important and really effective about your teachings, because, like I said, I love to learn. I love, I'm not a religious person, but I grew up religious, in a religious family, but now I consider myself a little bit more spiritual. And there was a while there I didn't consider myself any of it. And so now I'm kind of
me
coming back
too.
to that. And even in the first book, like at the beginning of it, you were very clear with like, you know, that you were completely anti, like, no, thank you. And then you started to learn, and then to teach. And like, and so, you know, I have to ask you about that. Like you've also found a really great balance when it comes to reaching people who maybe have a religious background or a spiritual background or who aren't interested in that at all. You know, like maybe your source energy is a rock, you know, like,
right. Yeah.
Was that by design? Is that really who you are and how you feel? Or was that kind of like by design to reach more people without alienating with spiritual beliefs?
I'm totally lying. No, I was the biggest skeptic, and I thought everything spiritual was like so darky, and it was sort of like, you know, religion and spirituality is up there with money and sex as well. You know, they are loaded topics. You can't, you know, there's so much judgment, and I was judgy-wudgy when it came to all that for sure. So I wanted to express that because I feel like so many people are, and you know, I'm really sort of writing it for the person I was because I needed to hear that from somebody like, it's okay to be spiritual. It's okay to make money. It's okay to love yourself. You know what I mean? Like we all need that. And when you're as, you know, cynical and closed off as I was, you don't get it because you're so busy holding on to that. So I really wanted to let other people know who were reading it. If they were like, I love everything but the spirituality part, I was like, try that one on too, because it fucking rocks. And I get it. And I know why you hate it. And I know why you're judging it, but just shut the hell up and do it.
Right. And I think it's delivered in a way that doesn't feel, you know, preachy. It's like, here it is. This is what we're going to call it. You know, you can call it whatever you want. I mean, I believe that there would be no wars if we all, you know, if we all use the word God, but you could use your own personal definition of what that is.
Right? Oh my gosh, totally.
You know what I mean? So if God to you is love or God to you is cheese, like whatever, but we don't have to fight about it because you have your own personal, you know.
Right.
So, I mean,
humans.
It's funny because I think that it's really important, you know, and to sell more books, of course, but really important to kind of get that foundation from your first book, You Are a Badass, to really kind of, I do feel like it's of course you could read the second one without the first, but I think that evolution of who you are as a person and to kind of
creating that foundation.
Yeah. Like feel that and understand that and move forward in that way opens you up so much more for the second book.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, you're probably right. I tried in the second book. Yeah, I didn't go as into it, but I did just like a little chapter. We call it the tiny but mighty chapter. It's a half chapter on universal intelligence. And I actually came at it in the second book in a more, I guess I don't even know what to call it, more of a Mother Nature kind of way, where I was talking more about source energy and spirituality in the first book. And in the second book, I wanted to say something a little different, just in case you had read the first book. And it's really about your right to be rich and about the permission and allowance piece. And just like you are part of nature, and a tree does not worry about taking up too much space. It is meant to flourish and grow and be huge and beautiful and use all the resources along the way that it's meant to use. And so the hell are you? You know, like, because I really think people are skittish about that. So I sort of came at it from that angle.
How have your relationships changed since your not your newfound publishing experience, but like the success behind it and the shift in you? How have your relationships shifted?
It's been interesting. You know, I have definitely lost some really long-term friends over it. In both directions. I've had people drop me like a hot potato because they think I'm all holier than thou and rich and money obsessed. And I've let some people go who I've realized are just negative and stuck and not available to look at themselves. And I just kind of can't be around that really low, sad energy anymore. And I've made new friends who are kicking ass, and some of my old friends who weren't kicking ass are inspired and growing, and but this is one of the biggest. It is the biggest question I get from clients and people who write in is, what do you do when the people around you don't support your growth, or if they're not growing themselves? And quite frankly, it's most often your spouse. This is a huge reason people don't let themselves thrive, is because they're terrified of losing the people they love. And it's a real concern and it's always the people closest to you who have the biggest freakouts about it, because they have the most to lose. When you change who you're being, you basically kill off your old identity. You're still the same person, but you're killing the old you, and that person who loves you is in love with the old you, and they're terrified of losing you. So that's why they'll send, give you all their worry and all their, you probably be careful. The economy's really bad, blah, blah, blah. You can't do that. Like those are the people closest to you usually.
Mm-hmm. I also think it questions their role in your relationship. And so if you're like, I did a little like life changing course a couple years back. And it was life changing for me and for the people around me, because they're like, wait, where do I fit here? Where's my place? And so the anger was more of like, them having to look inward and not being willing. And they shut me out. I mean, they could not handle my newfound strength. And, and for me, it was just really, I was sticking up for myself for the first time in 22 years, and I lost friendships, absolutely lost friendships over that.
Yeah. And then you think about it, though, it's like, okay, what did you lose? You lost somebody who's not supporting you, who's going to not want to look at themselves, and who's going to judge you because it makes them feel better about their lameness.
Right.
So you haven't really lost anything.
Right.
But at the same time, you write about your dad and giving you money, and letting him still give you money, right?
No, it's so cute. Yeah. Yeah.
Because that makes him feel like he, that's his role, or I don't know. I thought that was really, and Kim and I both have these like, we adore our dads. So I think that just really resonated with me.
Oh my gosh.
You could still be successful and you could do all these things, but letting him still be him.
Well,
exactly. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about it on a previous show, about like letting people help you. And sometimes it's the letting them help you because it does something for them. And being strong enough within your own sense, having that strength of self within you to know that you're really not doing it because you are not capable. But what it gives to the other person is far more worth, the acceptance than the fighting it or the proving that you can,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I got to say, like, my whole life, I was like, what, Dad, you don't think I can do it myself? Like, that was me to a T. And now, like, I can tell my dad, I can be like, hey, Dad, I just made $5 million, blah, blah, blah. And he'll be like, at the end of the conversation, he'll be like, all right, well, can I help you? Do you need a little bit of money? And every time I'll be like, yeah, would you mind? Could you send me like $100? He's like, absolutely, don't you worry. Yes, I'll send you $100. And it's like, right? And the old me would be like, fuck you. You're not even listening to me. You're not even like valuing my success. And the new me is like, look at my cute dad. He feels helpful and worthy and loved. So by far, way more important than all that other crap.
Well, and that takes a lot of work. Like, you did the work. And I think that's what's really interesting and relatable, is that like, you aren't like, I was born this way and follow my 3-step plan to being rich. Like, you're like, I was just as effed up as everybody else. Like maybe more so than some people,
Yes, definitely.
But to, cause I was the same way with like bending over backwards. Like if I could do gymnastics, I'd be doing, flips in front of my father to like, look what I can do, Daddy,
Right.
The 11th kid,
oh my
family.
gosh,
like, it's
I
like
can't imagine.
Trying to, are you proud? Are you proud? Are you proud?
Right.
And then you realize later in life that it's not necessarily all that you accomplish that makes a parent proud.
Yeah.
It's that connection and you needing them, and they, so the fact that you came back, went so far one way and then came back kind of to the middle. I think that it's a life lesson and not just a lesson in money.
Oh my gosh. And my dad is 92 and I'm just so glad he lived long enough for me to get it. You know what I mean? Like if he had dropped dead when I was in college, I'd be in therapy like 5 times a week because I was so mad at him just for being who he was. And, and he was doing his best to he thought he was doing everything right. And it was a mess. And, there is a great book by Byron Katie. Have you ever read Loving What Is?
No.
Oh God. It's a great one because I'm a big fan of people who just give you the work and don't make you do 10,000 pages of exercises and reading. And so basically she has a very short system of helping you take ownership of the relationships you have and using your innate power in those relationships to enjoy them as opposed to being bitter and resentful and demanding of the other person that they be the way you want them to be, but really letting it go. This book I think is so magnificent. Just, like that thing with my dad, he's not going to change. It is who he is. Like, shut the hell up. You can rage against it your whole life, or you can love what is and see the beauty, because I love him so much now. And when he gives me money, it cracks me up. I'm just like, oh my God, he did not hear anything I just said. And he's giving me $20, even though I just told him I was on Oprah. It's like, okay, Dad.
Yeah. And the thing is, he probably could turn around then to the neighbor and be like, oh, my daughter was on Oprah. And he heard every bit of it.
Exactly.
He's just he's not willing to give up his role.
Oh my God, you are 100% right. That's so funny.
Yeah, because you hear stuff from your parents and you're like, oh, I didn't realize you actually heard me. But that's
right. Like your friends will tell you, they brag about you all the time. You're like, really? He never says that shit to me.
Exactly.
Oh, my dad starts every conversation with me. Were your ears burning today? I'm like, why, Dad? He's like, oh, just telling everybody how proud I am of you. I'm like, okay, Dad.
Fred. So before we go, because we have a few more minutes, but talk to us about the law of attraction. So, the law of attraction, everyone knows it. We touched upon it a little bit at the top of the show, like the secret, right? And then the follow-up, the power. And, I had a friend who sent me that and I was listening to it and it's just like the sound effects and the quotes and and it's like you really have to move past the cheese factor to kind of listen to. And we always used to joke about the secret that it was like, they would give you kind of half the information, and that it's like, just dream about yourself as a middle-aged man driving
the
a
secret
Corvette.
Is the other half. Yeah.
Yeah.
The secret is go figure it out.
The secret is the work that you actually have to do. And so
exactly.
One thing that I think you elevate the secret, because you take the law of attraction and not just like putting it out there and imagining it, but doing the work toward it. And I think a lot of people who talk about the law of attraction are missing that component. That it's not just
funny.
It's not just dreaming,
Yeah.
If that were the case, I would be a size 2 and 9 feet tall. But so talk to us a little bit about that, about what the law of attraction means for you.
Well, I think it's so funny because it's like there's two ends of the pendulum, right? Like you've got the secret that talks about like just to visualize and it will land in your lap. And then you've got the way we're raised where it's like work your fucking ass off if you want to make money. And so that one has nothing to do with mindset, which is huge, the work your ass off side. And the secret side has nothing to do with taking action. And meanwhile, you totally need both. So that's sort of where I felt I came in, and other people certainly have too. But I really, I feel like when it comes to making money, mindset is so critical, because if you don't have the right mindset, you can work your ass off every day of the week and you won't make the money you want to make. So that's why my book really, really focuses on that, because we all kind of know how to work hard when it comes to making money, because that's what we've been taught. But we don't really know how to broaden our mindset and how the secret and stuff like that really works when it comes to making money. So it's that whole thing of, well, I'll start with the opportunity, right? So when I was broke and living in the garage and scraping by, I was a freelance writer and blah, blah, blah. I didn't see any ways for me to get out of that. I literally could not see it until I made the decision to make the money. So all the answers are around us all the time. All the opportunities we need to make the money or lose the weight or meet the special person, they're around us all the time. And it's only until we have a mindset shift that we can see them. It's like when you're looking for a place to rent, suddenly you notice for rent signs everywhere that you never saw, that you've driven by a million times. It's because you've decided to focus on that and now you actually see them. So that it's such a simple, stupid thing. But honestly, that's what the mindset does. When you change what you're focusing on, you see the opportunities, and now you have to take those opportunities, and 9 times out of 10, they're going to be shit you do not want to do that is totally scary or expensive or, makes you look like an idiot. But they're there and you can't see them until you change your mindset. So then you can't take action on them until you change your mindset.
Right. Well, and what would you say to the people, there are a lot of people out there who are living in a garage and they're, making $20,000 or whatever. But there are also a lot of people who are making $150,000, $200,000 and they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah.
Because of their mindset. So how would they shift it?
It's actually the exact same thing. You just decide what it is that you desire to make. And then you train your thoughts on, instead of looking at I'm broke, I can't, I'm freaking out, I'm stuck, you open your mind to, and literally for me, I changed my mantra from I'm broke to money is all around me and I receive it with glee or something like that. And then every time something totally hairball came up or I got some totally scary idea, I acted on it. So whether you're at $200,000 a year or $20,000 a year, it's about looking for those opportunities and being like, I don't know, I've never done this weird thing that I'm suddenly being compelled to do that sounds like a really good idea. And maybe I have to invest money I don't have right now to do it. But I am freaking doing it because I've made this decision to not be stuck here anymore.
Right. And I think that, making the decision, you talk about that in the book, is like the number one thing that you have to start with.
Yep. Yes, it really is. It's the dumbest thing, but, and we decide light all the time. We pretend we've decided, and then the second it gets too expensive or too hard, or, we can't go on a weekend trip anymore that we want to take. Like, the decision means there is no B plan. You are doing it no matter what. So
I have a burning question.
Probably a lotion kind for that.
Now there's what's up with crotch? Speaking of burning, what happened to your band?
God, it's so funny. You should ask, because I was just reunited with the bass player from Crotch, who I wrote about in my book. She now has a huge branding firm, and we had this whole photo shoot, and she redid my website, and all that is coming soon. But I was just with her, and we were talking crotch 24/7. No,
is there going to be a crotch reunion?
We were talking about it. I don't know where the hair bikini is. It's probably in a gutter somewhere, but fashion that together again.
That's hilarious. We'll be there in the front row.
Awesome.
So you mentioned your coaching. So yes. Are you still doing that?
Not so much anymore. I'm actually speaking a lot more, which is sort of like the new crotch. Like, I feel like I'm not in a rock band anymore. Maybe I'll wear the hair bikini on my corporate speaking gigs. But no, I want to get out and meet my fans and talk. And it's more about writing and speaking right now. And who knows what else. But right now, that's sort of more where I'm at. I have a lot of coaching products of past coaching things that I did where I recorded them. You can get all those materials still and download the audio and all that stuff. But live coaching, not doing right now.
Well, that's great. And I think that the speaking, it's kind of like you're casting a wider net, as far as like some people need that one-on-one, but more people can be impacted by, speaking in a room of 500.
Sure. And it's just a different beast. And it's quite frankly more selfish of me, just because I miss being out of the house and, with a bra on and making human contact. It's like, okay, writing books, great. Like coaching over the phone, great. But I need to like brush my hair and leave the house. So, and I love performing. So I love the energy of being in front of a live audience and meeting my fans. I mean, you said you think book's doing so well because it's, my tone, but I think it's reaching my people because of my tone. I'm sure some people pick it up and think in fact, I know some people think I'm a complete hack, whatever the hell. I mean, it's hilarious reading my, my 1-star reviews, but it's certainly not for everybody, but it's for my people, and my people hear it loud and clear. So like, what is more fun than going out and meeting a bunch of people who are like-minded? I mean, that's really awesome.
Right. And I think when it's kind of like when we watch shows, Kim and I, we're in the LA area, and I work in my other job is in television. And so I see a lot of high profile people and celebrities and which is lovely. It's fine. But it's always the one that was someone from your childhood or someone from because they got you at or someone who got you at your most vulnerable place, or someone you listened to in your 20s when you were single and getting your first apartment or whatever it is. So I think that what you do impacts people in such a vulnerable, private space that when they see you, they must expect that you guys are going to have drinks.
I know. And as I said, it's awesome and it's kind of weird.
Do you have any stalkers?
Yeah, kind of.
Do you argue with the 1-star reviewers? Do you get on there and be like, you have a problem, you need to let go?
No, and you know what is so brilliant? This one woman, Heather Armstrong. I don't know if she's still doing it.
Deuce.
Yeah, Deuce. Okay, yep. So she was one of the very first people to have a really successful blog, and it was at least 10 or 20 years ago. I don't even know. But she got so much hate mail that she had a page on her blog called Monetizing the Hate. And she posted all of her hate mail, and so many people read it because it was so hilarious. It Target was taking ads out. She made tons of money on all of her hate mail, which
I should do that.
Yeah,
right? It's brilliant.
Yeah. Kim gets a few in email, and I try to tell her to post them, but she won't do it.
No, but I do have other personas that comment. Because sometimes I can't let it go. Sometimes I'm like, you are an effing moron, and I need to tell you so that I feel better.
Oh, that's funny.
Sometimes I can't help it.
Yeah, I understand. We're all struggling with that. I don't, but I did have somebody they kind of crack me up for some reason. One guy ripped out the last page of You Are a Badass. It's a blank page. And he's like, this was the best page in your stupid book.
I'd be like, thank you for getting that far.
Someone told me that my memoir was too much about me.
Oh my God.
I was like, wait. You're like, memoir starts with the letters me.
Hilarious.
That's funny.
Well, Jen, thank you so much for joining us. And they can, I know there's a whole book tour. Well, stalkers are not welcome.
Right.
And we'll link to that on our website as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And everything's over there.
I gotta say, this was totally a taste of my own medicine because I totally feel like we're all BFFs right now. So,
good.
Whatever.
Totes my goats.
Totes my goats.
Thanks so much, Jen.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was so much fun. Thanks a lot.
We'll see you in LA when you're on the LA Live.
Good. Oh, good. I'm so glad you can come.
Okay, cool.
Thanks again.
All right.
Okay, take care.
Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye.
That was Jen Sincero. You can head over to BROADScast.com for the book tour dates and link.
She must be huge if she's on a book tour. So
hey,
good
you
for
were on
her.
a book tour. You
Yeah.
were on a break. I don't know where that came from. So, but also we have the links to both of her books, as well as you can download the audio with a free Audible trial.com/broadscast and then head on over and you can get one of those downloads for free, as well as a free month of audible.com. So there you go. Thanks so much for listening, and we will catch you next time.
Bye-bye.
Have a good life.
You are listening to BROADScast. For more from the Broads, head to BROADScast.com.